and welcome to the Comic Book Love Tag. I cannot believe that as of this week, the Comic Book Sanctum is already a month old. It's gone by so fast, but I'm just so glad it's out there now. I'm having the best time writing all of these articles and everything else with it and doing all the research and just living in this comic book world. And I have to say a huge thank you to absolutely everybody who's already checked out the blog and has subscribed and everything else. It has been amazing to see the numbers go up and see people interacting with it. It's been absolutely brilliant, so thank you to absolutely everybody who's done that. And with that, let's get on with the Comic Book Love Tag. Question number 1 is, which comic book series made you fall in love with comics? House of M, which is over here on my X-Men shelf. That's my X-Men shelf. This is my Avengers shelf, and over there is my other shelf, which is decidedly empty. Well, it's not empty, it's half full, but there we go. Either way, House of M was one of the first comic series I read. It was the first bind-up and big event I read, and I finished the first one, House of M, and immediately raced to get the rest of the series, binge-read the lot until I got up to Avengers versus X-Men, and just loved it. And I have been hardcore into comics ever since. I just love them so much, and they make me so happy. Even to this day, I recently reread House of M, and I'm still in love with it now. And I mean, I've continued on with the series now and gone into the tie-in sort of spin-off series of Uncanny X-Men and also all new X-Men, and in love is all I can say. I'm in love, I'm obsessed, absolutely brilliant. House of M is seriously a series that keeps on giving to me at the moment. Question number 2 is the most underappreciated or underhyped comic, and that has to be the A-Force for me, because quite frankly A-Force got cancelled far too soon. It should have run for years. There should be more comics in that series. It was amazing to watch all of these female characters team up together and come together to fight the bad guys without anybody going, we need to call in Captain America or the Avengers or anything else. They just got on with it. They were badasses. They supported each other. Brilliant. I need more of it immediately. Question number 3 is most loved LGBTQIA+ comic, and I have to say for this, Rat Queens, because there's a couple of female-female relationships in this one. There's a lot of other diversity in this one as well, and I love it. Quite frankly, I absolutely love the Rat Queens. It brings me huge amounts of joy to read it, and it's basically a high fantasy comic about female mercenaries taking down various magical creatures and people and all the rest of it, and I really enjoy it, quite frankly. They are, like, each of the characters is so different from one another, and they're completely and utterly badass. I love that. I love all the fantasy elements of it, and I'm now desperate to finish the story, but I think what I'm going to do is go right back to the beginning and read the whole way through again, because it's been a while, and quite frankly, I want the full Rat Queens experience by just reading the entire lot in one go. Question number 4 is most loved comic book sidekick, and I have to say Abe Sapien from Hellboy from this, because quite frankly, I grew up on the Hellboy films by Guillermo del Toro, and I loved Hellboy and Abe's relationship with each other. I loved seeing them interact. I loved seeing like all of these different differences between each other and how they work together and how they learned to get along and work. I loved Abe as a character anyway. I loved like his love of books and how intelligent he was and all of the rest of it. I love those kind of things, and I am now really excited to read Abe's solo comic, because I do own one of them. Question number 5 is most loved comic book publisher, and if you couldn't tell by all of these, this t-shirt, my new clanking necklaces, which is Logan dog tags, half my videos, most of my content, and the Comic Book Sanctum itself, my favourite publisher is Marvel. It will always be Marvel. I love it. I do love other studios as well, but Marvel just hits me in the feelings and just speaks to me on a level that I cannot quite describe, so it has to be Marvel. Question number 6 is most loved screen to page or page to screen adaptation, and that has to be The Old Guard. I mean, obviously there's a whole load of other Marvel ones I could talk about, but quite frankly, The Old Guard. The Old Guard set the standard for like adapting books and comics onto the screen, because that director, but she's a genius, because what she did was read the comic and base the entire film on the comic instead of taking the base idea, throwing it out and doing a completely different thing like most other adaptations do for books, not naming any at all. But she didn't. She actually took whole conversations and put them on the screen. She also like put whole scenes in, and the entire storyline was exactly the same. There were a couple of changed scenes and some of the character designs changed, but everything else was exactly the same. And what I absolutely loved was the fact that when one of the male characters who is in a male-male relationship, he has this big speech to the bad guys about how this man isn't just his partner or his boyfriend or whatever, he transcends all of that, and it was word for word from the comic onto the screen, and it was truly brilliant. Seriously, if you have not read The Old Guard and then watched the film, do it. Quite frankly, just do it. If you're okay with like gore and all the rest of it, just do it, because it is so good, so accurate, and I am forever in love with the director for doing that. And quite frankly, I need the second film and the second comic immediately. Question number 7 is most loved newly published trade paperback, comic or graphic novel, and all of them have been delayed. All of the ones I was looking forward to have been delayed, apart from Strange Academy and also Nebula Upgrade. So Nebula Upgrade is coming next week, and Strange Academy, touch wood, should be coming at the beginning of September. So I'm going to say one of those two. If everything had gone to plan and obviously nothing had been pushed back, I probably would have been shouting about Derek Landy's Falcon and the Winter Soldier right now, but that has been pushed all the way back to January, so I can't talk about that one right now. Question number 8 is most loved POC comic book creator or comic book character, and I have to say Eve Ewing and her Ironheart series, because I read that a couple of months ago now and I have not stopped thinking or raving about Ironheart ever since. I had not read Brian Michael Bendis' original run with Riri's Origins, shockingly, because I love Brian Michael Bendis, but I started with Eve Ewing instead, and I fell in love with Riri within a couple of pages. She was so clever, so nerdy, and felt so real to me from just a couple of pages. I absolutely fell in love with her character, and I'm now completely and utterly obsessed with her, and so looking forward to everything Eve Ewing writes from now on. I've got her next series on pre-order or on watch, so I can pre-order it as soon as it's available. I can't wait to read more Riri. Just incredible, quite frankly. Absolutely incredible. Question number 9 is which comic book world would you like to live in? First of all, I would say the world of I Hate Fairyland, but quite frankly, Gert would kill me, and if she didn't kill me, if she'd already escaped, quite frankly, I think the overload of colour would absolutely burn my eyes out, quite frankly, and also the happy-go-lucky characters would drive me nuts, because I'm Wednesday, essentially. I'd also like Spider-Gwen's world, sort of, because it's basically our world with a few more superheroes, but I wouldn't like the idea of Frank Castle on side of the cops, or on any side. Quite frankly, Frank Castle, I'm staying away from Frank Castle entirely. And also Matt Murdock as the Kingpin scares the living daylights out of me. I mean, Kingpin's scary enough, but the idea of Daredevil being the Kingpin, no. So I would say the normal Marvel world, 616, but again, probably would die in that one, quite frankly, in an alien invasion, and then I'd have to deal with Wilson Fisk as the Kingpin, Norman Osborn, and everyone else, so I'd rather not go there either. I'd say Hellboy, but again, there's a lot of demonic energy in that, and I'd probably die in an apocalypse. So maybe the world of Exorcisters, which is basically our world, but with slight demonic energy, but not as much. I'm going to say the world of Exorcisters, but that's only because I think I'd survive, unlike every other world on my shelves. And the final question is to tag some other booktubers, and quite frankly, I don't really know who's done this tag or whatever, so basically, if you love comics and you do have a channel or a blog or an Instagram or whatever, consider yourself tagged to do this. And that is the end of the tag, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up, comment down below with some of your favourite comics and all the rest of it, and also like what you'd want me to answer on the Comic Book Sanctum. I'd love to know. I'll also leave a link down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out, including the link to the Comic Book Sanctum if you want to check it out. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!